politicians are scrambling for Buhari's nod ahead of 2027. Why Borno is facing a new wave of Boko Haram attacks. Famine mining, the future of northern Nigeria's economic revival. And those are the headlines for Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Go grab a copy to get details of those headlines.
All right, and now to the Guardian newspaper. Labour laments high costs of living, braces for wage renegotiation. Nothing new to reveal. Presidency dismisses U.S. court on Tinubu's drug case. Jega fault varsities over rush of honorary awards to unworthy characters. Ogun government reaffirms commitment to water sector development.
All right, those are the headlines for you this morning. Go grab a copy to know the details about those stories we read, those headlines that we read out. If you'd like to give us what you think about those headlines, feel free to do that on 07000 917 or 9155 917 917. If you're female, very good. You're free to call us on 0800 1235 917. You can also leave us a text message or a WhatsApp message on 081 55 917 917 07031 756 537. Okay, do well to call us or leave us your text messages if you have any of those.
Well, this morning we have our analyst joining us, Adeyemi Adeolu, as we get to dissect the various headlines in the various national dailies together this morning. Good morning to you, Adeyemi Adeolu.
Good morning, Miracle. Good morning, Debola. And good morning to all our newspaper review family.
Indeed. Good morning. Glad to have you this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, let me kick off by just asking you, which of the headlines stuck out for you? Which of the headlines read, we read out, strikes you in a different way?
I'm more particular about the flood preparedness campaign. That's what really actually captured my attention because I see that over the years that we have been talking regarding the flooding issue, nothing has been done. All they ever come up with is how the people can evacuate where they are living. That's all they do. No, that's not what they ought to have been done by now. By now, there ought to have been a solution, if not 100% solution, at least 70 to 80% solution to have been prepared. So that's what captured my attention this morning.
Okay, just for context, I'll read a part of that news which says the federal government will begin a nationwide flood awareness campaign in May 2025 to educate and sensitize Nigerians on the risks and safety measures related to flooding. And this was disclosed by the Deputy Director of the Department of Flood, Erosion Control and Coastal Management at the Federal Ministry of Environment, and that's Mr. Kunle Awojemila. In an interview on Sunday, that's last Sunday. Now, the federal government had revealed that approximately 1,249 communities across 176 local government areas in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory are expected to experience significant flooding between April and November of this year, of course, that's 2025. Now, he says that they're starting the flooding awareness campaign in the first week of May. And during the official presentation of the 2025 Annual Flood Outlook by the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, and that's Professor Joseph Utsev, listed the states at risk of flooding, such as Abia State, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, and Jigawa State. Other states we have on the list includes Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Oshun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba State, Yobe, Zamfara, and the Federal Capital Territory. Now, the minister emphasized that flooding remains one of Nigeria's most devastating natural disaster and the one that climate change continues to increase both the frequency and, of course, severity of floods across different parts of the country. Now, looking at all of these preparations, so to speak, ahead of flood to come in those states mentioned, What people often say, beyond preparing for flooding, human factor could also contribute, when it comes to cities or states being flooded. What do you make of that, Adeyemi?
Hi, Adeyemi.
Adeyemi, are you there?
Your mic is muted.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was.
Uh yeah, talking about the cities and the flooding
Mm,
area. Let's be honest with ourselves. Apart from the human contribution, let's look at the major areas. Which areas are the major areas we are talking about? We are talking about the rural areas.
mm,
That's where we have most of the floodings. Now, what exactly have they been able to do to ease this problem? This thing has been on over the years. This is not just happening, just yesterday. This is a constant thing. It has become an annual thing in Nigeria, especially when there is rainfall. Now, look at what uh, even part of what is their preparation. It is believed that between April and November
mm,
there will be flooding. Now they are going to start the awareness in May. What happens to those areas that already have experienced or will be experiencing flood in April? Do you see that?
mm.
We are not being honest. We are not proactive. We are not up to the game. We just try to play games. And what I see that they keep doing with this is that they see it as an opportunity to continue to make extra money from the government. The ministry and the people that are saddled with the responsibility, to me, they are not playing it well. They are not. Let's be honest ourselves. We cannot always put everything at the doorstep of the president. The president cannot oversee everything. That is why you have ministries and ministers. And that's why you have agencies and parastatals. That is why you have the state government. And under the state government, you have the commissioners and you have also the agencies as well. And also you have the local governments. What exactly are these tiers of government doing, particularly the ministries that are saddled with the responsibility? Now, when you talk about the human factor, yes, because most especially in the urban area, in the cities, let's make a case with Lagos State.
Mm.
We the people. Now, I think somebody put it on the social media sometimes ago. With the newly constructed road and what do you call it? When you drive by Beggar, you will see how that place is being littered with feces. Is it not an eyesore? And apart from that, talking about flood, you see that most of the drainages in most areas in Lagos State are filled with litters, bottle water, sachet water, all sorts of garbage you'll find in the drainages. So now drainage are meant to collect waters and to channel it through a course to rivers. But when this water don't have a way, the next thing to do is to overflow their bounds. And when they overflow their bounds, it ends up becoming flooding. And you see, it is not government. Government is not going to do everything for us. We ourselves, what kind of people are we? Do we want an hygienic environment? Are we expecting the government to come? Even though government in Lagos State, let's talk about Lagos State in particular because Lagos State is where most of the people will always shout, "Oh, this happened, this happened." The government just to help the situation said at the end of the last Saturday of every month there will be sanitation. Why did they introduce that? Because of the environment, because they realize that people will not take care of the environment. So they make sure that between the hour of 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock and 10 a.m. in the morning, you will have done something within your enclave, within your environment. You will have cleaned all the dust away, remove all the garbages in the gutter, and they will come and cut it away. But all this being said, till date, we have taken them to court to stop that. But yet, when we have taken them to court, are we actually living up to standard as people that are lovers of clean environment, are people that are lovers of hygienic environment? No, we are not. So we have a problem. I think the best thing that the government could do in that respect, let the sanitary inspector, like they used to do in those days, let them be going about any drainage around your vicinity that is filled with debris, garbage, and everything. Those people within that area should be summoned, should be fined. When they do that consistently and people see how much they have been paying, you will find out that people will comply. We will embed that culture of cleanliness. And don't forget that cleanliness is godliness. So we must invite that culture. That is on the part of the people. On the part of the government and the ministries that are saddled with the responsibility. We have said it. What about these areas where normally, let's take a cue with Oyon River Dam. Anytime that dam is open, that they release the water from that dam, all the communities along that shore will be flooded. And we have said it over the time. They can as well still construct other dams that will collect this water so that the water will not flood the whole communities on the path. So this water could be released.
I'll get you to proceed on your thought regarding this flood situation in the country, different parts, of Nigeria. Just to remind our listener that you're tuned to Women Radio 91.7 FM. We are reviewing the newspaper headlines, and this morning we'll dwell in first on a federal government rolls out flood preparedness campaign in 30 high-risk states, and that's what we're talking about at the moment. If you want to join us, you can do that. We have a call coming through. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, good morning. This is Voice of Taraba calling back.
Glad to have you, Voice of Taraba. What would you like to contribute to the topic we're talking about, the headline we're talking about?
I want to talk about Rivers, PDP governor hiring about 10 stars to defend their case against Tinubu.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
I will also talk about the fuel, the problem of the water.
All right.
So about the stand, yes, if the PDP like made them bring 20 or 50 stands, I think the APC will still win the case. The same way they win the election. They win the election through the back door, so they may go through the back door again to win the election, to win the case, because this judge that they are there, they are just appointees that they just appoint them. So the president will just say, announce this result, and they will announce it. I think that is not done. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say that even though they do like that, we in Nigeria will stand up and kick against it. We will never agree to that judgment. Fubara must come back. Whether they win by court or they do not win by court, Fubara must come back, and that is all. So about this flood that we're talking about, 20 years back, since I was a kid, now I'm 30 something, and we used to hear issue about that flood. But what has they come to about the flood? See, the issue of this flood that we're talking about every day, it is simple issue. And the way to handle it is very, very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, we all know where the community used to be affected. And we know the road that this flood used to come and disturb the community. So why can't we dig something like a river that when this flood comes through that road, is going to enter this place like a dam, so that it's going to stay there and without affecting the community? Or are we always going to stand up on newspaper and say that this place is in the risk of flood, and ask the people to stand up from that place? Okay, if I stand up from my community, where am I going? Do you have any place for me that if I stand up from my community that I will go there? So the government are not doing enough. They should stand up and do enough, not by just saying we are allowing people that flood to disturb them, flood to do that. I bet they should stand up. It's supposed to be bigger than all this. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your contribution this morning. That is Voice of Taraba. Do well to call us on 07000 or 9155 You can also leave us a message on 08155 We'll have a call coming through. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, good morning, Jamala. Good morning, Miracle.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bingo. Mr. Bailey, good morning to us. This is Mr. Prince from Ogba.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Bailey, I have two questions very critical to me as a person and to Nigeria as a country, though not a nation. Number one, I heard from the headline, the first thing, the court gave an instruction that the sole administrator do not have any right and should not do more than what he has been appointed to do in River State. The same sole administrator sacked all local government officials and appointed sole administrators over those local government officials. And the court that gave order that funds should not be released except if the local government is established with what we call democratically elected leaders. Release, watching those people releasing funds to two administrators appointed for local government. What do you see coming in that River State? Number two, Nigeria Army recruitment. The northern states, I am from Middle Belt, Kogi State, to be proud of. The northern states, I said last week that this side, when it comes to matters of this side, this side are always, they want to be a slave. And that is what their mentality has been captured to be. The northern state, Kaduna State alone has 3,000. Please look at the headline. 3,000 chance recruitment slot given and they have taken. And you came to beg the Tinubu people to give you to join. You have 200 slots, 200 to 3,000, please. What kind of injustice and marginalization is that? What kind of is this not fueling tribalism? Is this not fueling regionalism? Are we one Nigeria? Why should a national body like that, military, giving 3,000 to a state, what make Enugu less than Kaduna? Is it by population? Are we looking at the quota that should be given to them? Are they please? Thank you.
All right, thank you for calling. You can still leave us your thoughts or messages via text message or WhatsApp on 07031 756 537. Do also call us. If you're female, the line is totally free for you. 0800 1235 917. Let me get back
and just to let you know that we are currently live on our Facebook and
absolutely.
YouTube, so you get to match the audio with the visuals as well
and see
morning.
What Miracle looks like. All right, we have messages pouring in. This one is on a WhatsApp line and it says, on NBC, I take it from the top now. At top of the morning to you in the studio in Nigeria. One day, one news. U.S. court want to make public the drug-related documents concerning President of Nigeria. My question is, what will that do for Nigeria now? Even the current president of United States, Mr. Trump, was convicted by several courts in U.S. and today is still president of United States. What are we talking about? To me, both president of United States and president of Nigeria, they are birds of same feather. Let me use this medium to advise opposition to bring better idea if they must make any impact in 2027 general election. And those are the thoughts of Adeshina Wasiu from Ikorodu.
Well, we have here from Olusoga Ajayi from Ikorodu as well, says releasing such a report on Tinubu's case now is simply an act of witch hunting. Time has elapsed, the gravity of that offense, and the voters in Nigeria have moved on. After all, that was said and done. Tinubu was a number one ally to the previous USA administration, a typical example of medicine after death. Nothing will come out of this case, Jari.
All right, this one says, good morning to everyone in the studio. Tinubu telling Nigerians to embrace peace during Easter festival. I ask Mr. President, do we have peace in the land called Nigeria? People are being killed all over the country on a daily basis. People hardly go to bed with food. No lights. Children no longer go to school because of school fees. People are losing their jobs. Factories are leaving Nigeria and churches are taking over every available spaces because churches is now the highest factory in Nigeria. How can any reasonable person or persons expect peace when the people are hungry and their loved ones are being murdered day by day? You think that there will be peace? No parents can have peace when the kids are crying hungry. And those are the expressions of Mayor from Ikotun Igbe. Thank you for your
We
messages.
have this one here from Barrister Ogo Osuji from Festac. It says, good morning, WFM, Adebola, Miracle Philip, and our analyst, Sir Adeyemi Adeolu. Battle for the soul of River State as regards state of emergency. The AGF to defend government in court as PDP rallies 7 senior advocates of Nigeria to open its case. Funny indeed, and shame of the country. Fast forward, the importance and history of Attorney General of the Federation and State was made popular in the case of Ilori versus State, where it ruled that an attorney general is a master unto himself, save his appointer, presupposes that an attorney general must have full knowledge of the law to be able to give his appointer good legal opinion. Query, was that state of emergency in Rivers State in tandem with Section 305, subsection 5, save Section 3, paragraph A, B? No, no. Rather, that state of emergency in Rivers State was pander over the egos of Nyesom Wike, FCT minister and emperor, by the president. Same with what biblical Herod did to Herodes that led to the beheading of John the Baptist. There was no external aggression, no internal insurrection. Hence, that state of emergency in Rivers State remains malad fide tellingly. On the royal rumble, between a serving Nigeria president and USA, CIA, FBI, DEA et al. With regards to drugs dealing in the past is not a savory tale, rather embarrassing and imputations of crimes and criminality on the entire citizenry, as the president remains the head and leading lantern to show the light. Little wonder one of the presidential candidates during this last election 2023 said that it is not enough to grab power and be called His Excellency when you are not an excellent person in integrity and character. Our Nigerians are mocked for INEC and judiciary's choice for them in proxy. Now that we know that in criminal jurisprudence, there is no time limitation for a crime committed, that could respectable senior advocates of Nigeria that defended the president during the presidential election petition court 2023 retract his words of the marble, that by virtue of section 137 of the Constitution, 1999 is amended, is a forgiver of sin. What an error of reasoning, as America's court now proves Nigerians right. Comparison of Tinubu and other presidents remains a contribution of a patriot that hides under the refuge of cowardice. This is according to Barrister Ugo Osuji from Festac.
All right, 3 minutes to 8. It is Women Radio 91.7 FM. We are on the segment where we get to review the headlines, making the rounds on the papers. We're taking your messages. This one says, good morning, dear presenters. It is a lame excuse from the government or weathers that says governors are acting as stumbling block to local government autonomy, as the Attorney General of the Federation is empowered by the Constitution to make sure the Supreme Court judgment is enforced to the letter. It seems the government is only paying lip service to the local government autonomy and not really ready to do anything. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. Allah bless Nigeria. Rosenje Olawale Mutiu from Alakbere. Thank you for your message. Keep them coming in.
Yes, and it is exactly 2 minutes to 8 on your Women Radio 91.7, and we're still reviewing the papers. Don't forget to continue bringing in your messages. Also, I'm getting to call in on the program as well. We are currently live on our Facebook and also on our YouTube. Let's also get to review the next paper. And for anyone who's actually followed what we do right here on Women Radio 91.7, you know that today is very significant in the history history as far or as everything that pertains to women. Today is the 14th day of April 2025, and on the night of this day, 276 mostly Christian female students and also Muslim students aged from 16 to 18 were kidnapped by the Islamist terrorist group Boko Haram from the government girls' secondary school at the town of Chibok in Borno State, Nigeria. Now, prior to the raid, the school had been closed for 4 weeks due to deteriorating security conditions, but the girls were in attendance in order to take final exams in physics. Unfortunately, these girls and for those who are listening can relate that these girls at that time were probably age mates with them at the same time. 11 years on, and we are still crying out and saying to the government of the state, bring back our girls. Now, if you find this here on the Nation newspaper, you see UN Deputy Secretary General, others storm UK for Chibok girls. The United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, Emir of Kano, Emir Mohammadu Sanusi II, and Chief Operation Officer Murtala Mohammed Foundation, Dr. Aisha Mohammed Oyebode, will today join other global speakers at the 11th year program of the Chibok Girls Abduction with photo exhibition and commemoration in London, the United Kingdom. Now, for us at Women Radio 91.7, we've released an audio visual. You can do well to check out our Facebook page and YouTube channel, expressly, talking about the turn of events right from when this occurred. This situation has transcended now 3 administrations, from the former president Goodluck Jonathan's administration to Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Will equally be having a panel discussion by 12:05 p.m. today with experts as we get to discuss in-depthly. But let's look at this. Adeyemi, these girls are daughters, sisters, would have been mothers. They are still held in the Boko Haram's tent. Some girls have escaped. Some have actually come back to societies that have not accepted them. Let's talk about the psychological, emotional, physical traumas that these girls have had to go through. What about the parents of those who are still missing? It's traumatic that 11 years after, we're still crying out for our girls to be brought back.
And just to add to what you have said, Miracle, it makes me wonder, do we just pay lip service every Remembrance Day for the Chibok abduction, or are we really working behind the scene to get the remaining girls back? It seems more like each time we have the anniversary, so to speak, or remembrance of this Chibok abduction, it's more like we have this conference going on, we have this convention to hold. Are people really working beyond the day we mark every year in terms of the Chibok girls? Adeyemi, let's have your perspective on this.
Thank you very much, Adebola and Miracle. You see, when you made mention that are people really concerned about the Chibok girls, especially when it comes to this like this, when we remember them, I want to say categorically that everybody that are coming on board now, what was their role when these girls were first taken? And over the time, why the noise was high, that Obi and Yusufu and all others were crying out, what was their response? Now everybody is coming for commemoration of the day that they were taking. That's not what is important. What is important to me, and I know to all, to the parents and the girls and Nigeria and the society at large, is that these girls be brought back and be reunited to their family. Yes, we know time has passed. A lot has happened. They have been made in the family way. They've had children, not one or two. And even in the course of the struggle, few died. Those that were able to escape, escaped. But those are still there with those people. What exactly are the people doing? Now, we talk about what happened to the people that were killed in Uromi. We saw how they all cried out. We remember what happened to Deborah and that woman evangelist in Abuja. Nobody said anything. These Chibok girls, it was only the southerners that were talking. The northern leaders who happened to be of the other religions, they all kept mute. I tell you, if everybody stood up and if everybody will stand up to this particular matter, those girls will be returned. But because some elements believe that the virgins are their material possessions and they have every right to go anywhere, abduct any girl, and make them their wife, by virtue of saying they said it has to do with religion. You see, we have passed that age. We are in 21st century. People should understand that time is evolving and everything is evolving. We cannot live in that stone age anymore. The laws that govern in those days are not the laws that governs now. We call them primitive laws, but now we have modern laws. So we must understand, it is not the people coming out to say they are sitting to do what? Is that sitting what is going to bring back the girls, or you put people together? Let them go after these people that are holding this girl hostage in this moment and rescue this girl from their hands. Despite they have done a lot to these girls. Yes, we talk about the psychological trauma, emotional, even a lot of things. They have been denied of so many things. They ought by now, they ought to be graduates, they ought to be working. So those that want to be master's holder by now will have been a master's holder. Those that want to be a PhD holder by now will have been a PhD holder and doing fantastically well in their sphere of chosen discipline.
Adeyemi,
But they have been denied.
Adeyemi, just to chip in there, talking about the need to refocus or set our minds regarding going after, trying to capture or trying to get back our remaining Chibok girls. I want to really ask, do you think this is a problem of we lacking what it takes in terms of security to ensure we get back the remaining Chibok girls, or do you think this is more or less more like the lack of political will?
Oh, well, you may say political will to some extent, but I will tell you, it has to do with the fact that do people who actually have the say, the power, and what it takes to bring these girls back, are they not the people behind the whole thing? That is a problem. Like I said, I'm not going to maxwell this money, because if these girls were to be our daughters, how do you think I'll be feeling this money if they were one of them happens to be one or two of them happen to be my daughters? How do you think I'll be feeling? I'll not be happy. At this particular moment, I'll be dejected. I'll be traumatized. I'll be seeing myself as a failed father. And that's exactly what is going on with their parents. So let's talk about it. The truth is that those people, those leaders of thought, those elder statesmen from that part of the country, they are the one responsible for all this. I'm not saying they are involved, but because they chose not to stand up to it. That is the problem. If they did, now you saw how Gumi was going about begging for the terrorists to be granted amnesty. Why can't they go and speak to these terrorists as well and tell them to release these girls for the sake of prosperity, for the sake of peace, for the sake of humanity? Why didn't you do that? But they would rather beg for them, those who have killed, maim, and destroyed. They will beg them to be reconciled back to the society. But those, the victims, nothing is being done about them. That's where we all failed. The society at large. failed these girls. Not only the government. I will tell you, mostly the northern leaders failed. All the generals in the north failed. All the head of state that's ever come to rule this nation in from the north, they all failed. And also the religious leaders from the south all failed. I'm talking about the Christian society. They failed. Because these girls, these Igbo girls are Christians. They failed. Everybody has failed. But now, for it not to be an everlasting thing that these girls, their life is going to be there just in perpetuity, that nothing's been done about them, we must stand up as a people, as a society, as a nation. We must come together as one. It is not selective justice anymore. It should be one for all for one. That is what we should be as a society.
All right. I say amen. I say amen to that, Adeyemi. We have some messages coming through. This one says, Miracle and Adebola, I want to ask you both, what concerns the leaders you mentioned now, remembering these girls in London? What happened to holding even the location where the incident took place? Miracle, what happened to other girls and women killed openly by the jihadists and religious extremists? Come back home and hold a peaceful demanding road march in Nigeria. And this one is from Prince from Ogba.
Yeah, and I know he's definitely regarding having to discuss what exactly was captured on the paper. You know, those are the conversations that people often have. However, we know that there've been many movements by people to make sure that the story is not just diffused within Nigeria, but also across the globe. People getting to be aware that these girls are still missing, and there has to be a lot more that is done. Back in 2015, Amnesty International estimated that in that particular year, at least 2,000 women and girls had been abducted by Boko Haram since 2014, many of whom had been forced into sexual slavery. And we're getting to see that, with that particular event involving the abduction of the Chibok girls, there have been many other events, even silently in different localities and different areas by some other armed groups targeting women and girls. And this says a lot about the security of women and girls in such times as this. And that is why we'll not stop talking.
Absolutely.
If you followed us here at Women Radio, we've been counting down. Sadly, it's 11 years today. Sadly. And we're still counting.
Well, we hope something is done.
Yeah, we're demanding something has to be done, especially in this administration. We don't want to see many promises and nothing really done.
Enough of the lip service, by the way. We don't have to begin to talk about the missing Chibok girls when it's the day we're marking the abduction.
Exactly.
Security officers, those within the corridors of powers, everyone should have their hands on deck to ensure we bring back the remaining girls. We have a message here. This one says, good morning, crew. This government has built a legacy of building Agbero for collecting money by force and intimidation and vote buying for election gain. That is why education is a dead state. Case study, Lagos, and now he's taking it nationally. Nigeria has the highest out of school in the world, caused by these government obnoxious policies that has made many children not afford school because of high school fees and is introducing school loan, which is a low-grade mind idea. They prefer to build Agbero and illiterates for election gain. Now, with what is happening in the nation, it shows lawlessness, impunity, and chaos is playing out, delegating the people not as citizens but slaves. How there be peace without justice? It's a shame. The worst of us is ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. And those are the thoughts of Dayo from Lagos.
Barrister Ogo Suji from Festac says, so today, 14th April, marks the memorable 11 years that the Chibok girls saga kidnap for ransom happened in Nigeria. How many governments had come and gone, as till today's summer elites saw that Chibok girls saga a ruse done to discomfit the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Those celebrating the commemoration, I salute their courage, but more importantly, in the words of Frantz Fanon, the Algerian revolutionary leader, who said, the future will not pity for those who, possessing the exceptional privilege of being able to speak words of truth, have taken refuge in an attitude of independence and sometimes cold complicity. I corroborate with your analysts, Adeyemi Adeolu, about the failure of our leaders of thought, particularly in the North. Save WFM 91.7 that keeps harping on the release of the Chipper girls and others in captivity, counting the years and days every morning in its broadcast station. WFM remains humanitarian. God bless you all. Well, thank you very much for your comment right there.
Okay, we still have our analyst who is live with us, and that's Adeyemi. Adeyemi, do you have any response or reaction to the comment so far? And while you react to that, let me just get your perspective on this present president, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We understand before he came into power, he talked about bringing back the remaining Chibok girls, and there has been different criticism by people saying that he only mentioned that for campaign purposes and not because he meant it in actuality. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you very much. If what the president did in the course of the campaign is just to woo us by playing lips game, then that will be quite unhuman of him. That's the honest truth. That means that he's playing with our psyche. And that's not the kind of people we want at the ends of our fear. We must be honest with ourselves. And what is the president, what's the first lady doing? Tinubu, she's a mother. I think that pain, she should feel it more. If the man is not feeling it, she should feel it more, and she should be doing something in that respect by now. I hope that the husband, maybe today, they will have to go back to their closet in the Aso Rock and discuss extensively on this matter and call the leaders of thought in the northern part of the country and the Christian leaders, because all of them, we have all failed. To call them and let them talk about how these ones that are remaining in the captivity of these people will be freed. It does not matter what it takes. The girls must come back. That it is the whole thing that any man as a Nigerian could ever do for these girls is for them to be reunited to the society. It is for them to take their life back, despite we have robbed them. We all robbed them. We robbed them. Because when you ought to play a role and you fail to play that role, then you are complicit. That's the truth. So, as it is today, we must stand up as a people. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, except he doesn't have children and he doesn't have granddaughters. That he doesn't have a daughter. Well, we all know Yabo Ojo very well, his first daughter. So I think with that, he should have that clear understanding. And he should not forget that one of the daughters of the Yoruba leaders was abducted some time ago. If we know, we will not forget. So nobody is safe. If those guys do not come back, I tell you, Nigeria as a country has failed. Then what is the essence of having people at the ends of our fear administering the affair of this nation? What is the essence? Then why do we recognize these traditional rulers when they don't take care of their community? When they don't have a stake, they don't have a hold, they cannot speak to their people to do this and they will follow suit. Then what is the essence of giving them, paying them through our communal wealth? You see, a lot is ongoing. These people, they just keep mute. Do you know what these so-called traditional rulers benefit as people from this nation as it is, where you and I are suffering? They have allocations that goes to them from our crude oil. Let them come and say it is not. Let them come and say it is not so. Where are they getting all this money? What are they doing? What's their work? And if they think that is the best, if they want to continue to make us understand that, yes, we can continue to pay them, we can continue to take care of their needs, then they should be able, that they're ready to take care of us as their citizens, as their subjects. That is the first thing they need to do. Our life is important. Our wives are important. Our daughters are important. Our sons are important. We are important as a people, as a nation. We are important. They should value life. They should value our freedom. Nobody should be subjected to be held hostage anywhere. It's a violation of that person's fundamental right.
We have this message here. I'll come back to you shortly, Adeyemi. Let's take this message here that says, where are we headed with the security challenge posed to other tribes by teenage kidnappers of the Fulani descent kidnapping and asking for as much as 50 million nairas ransom? He sent a video showing a Hausa young man kidnapped and tortured by Fulanis. This is a real issue to be discussed in the Senate and not seat allocation and sexual harassment. My take on this insecurity is that every community in Nigeria should be allowed to arm themselves with AK 47 or AK 49 for self defense. We should rise up to this challenge. Enough is enough. Can you imagine this? Nigeria is a crime scene. Well, I'm not so particularly sure about how that will go if we begin to arm ourselves
No, we
as citizens.
can't.
I'm not sure that would turn out
It won't
well.
turn out well.
We just have to call on the security arm of the country. The president needs to probe them much more, ensure that budgets being allocated for security are well utilized, are well spent in charge of security of the people in Nigeria. This conversation regarding ransom payment, Adeyemi, I want to get your perspective. A miracle you recall sometime last week in the headlines was this particular headline about the government saying that no more ransom payment.
National Security Advisor,
Exactly.
Nuhu
Talking about the need for us not to pay ransom going further, going forward. But then where is the fine line? We also spoke to someone who came live on radio who happened to have her brother kidnapped, some time ago. My question to you now, Adeyemi, is where is that fine balance? You have a loved one kidnapped. You've called on the security agencies, like the person we spoke to, the person who recounted her life experience, spoke to us about, saying she reached out to the police and they told her categorically, go pay the ransom. We can't do anything. Where is the fine balance? We have security outfits saying that they can't do anything if you have a loved one kidnapped, and then you have a loved one in the lion's den being tortured. Where is that humane or that fine line in terms of balance? Yes, we're not aiding or encouraging payment of ransom. But in the case whereby you have a loved one being kidnapped, being tortured on a regular basis, you hear them wailing and crying in the lion's den in the arms of the abductor. Where is that fine line of reasoning in terms of saying, no, don't pay ransom, but then you have a loved one being tortured?
Oh, thank you very much, Adibola. Let's ask ourselves this question. Show me, point to one. Who among the abductors that they say so-called that have been arrested has been prosecuted or sentenced to jail for the crime of abduction in Nigeria? You see, as long as nothing is being done in terms of the law taking its course, by making sure that whoever engages in such acts is either jail or given the capital punishment, which is death penalty. I tell you, there is no reason why you will not have to pay that ransom, because you will not sit there when your loved ones, even, I tell you, if that person is your enemy, and you happen to be there when they call the families of the loved ones and put their loved ones on speaker, and you hear the cry, the torment, you will feel for that person. You will run hectares to look for the ransom. So as it is, there is with them saying, don't pay for ransom. Are they not paying ransom underneath themselves? We see, we should not listen to these people. And the other person that said, taking up arms. Do you know the truth? Let's be honest with ourselves. The Yoruba says, in one of their proverbs, Orisha tó bá lè gbè mí, fi mí lẹ̀ bó bá ṣe bá mi. Deity, If you cannot protect me, if you cannot favor me, then leave me the way I am. Look, we sort it out. If these people can be armed and the law is not doing anything about them, then what stops us, the people who are their victims, from being armed as well to protect ourselves from being victims? There's nothing wrong in it. Let's be honest with ourselves. If we continue this way, we will they will continue to abduct, killing and maiming and destroying our families, our homes, our businesses, and everything that we have. And we'll be looking like that. Then they will create fear in you and I, that we will not be able to move freely as we want anymore. No. If the government will not stand up to their responsibility, then the people should look for a solution themselves. Where they have failed us in providing social amenities for us. Are we not providing social amenities for ourselves? We are the ones digging our boreholes. We are the one providing for our electricity. We are the one doing everything for ourselves. We are the one constructing roads in our environment. So, constructing drainages and everything, providing security in different areas. So, if they have failed in that respect, and they have failed to protect us as a society, as a people, as a state, then we should find a solution to our problem. We cannot continue to look on.
Just to share.
I said the security men to continue to protect us. You see, the security men is not as much as they want to play that role. They want to, fulfill their obligation as security men to this nation. But what about the orders being doled out to these security men that tells them don't go after them, stay back? It's not time. And at the end of the day, they leak information that these people are being ambushed and killed. What do you want them to do?
You said something very, very, very striking, Adeyemi. You talked about the need for us to introduce or to implement, because I believe that is in existence, talking about capital punishment for these abductors, these kidnappers, these bandits. Recall, particularly in 2018, the Nigerian military talked about releasing 244 repentant Boko Haram suspect. And what they did was they have what they call de-radicalization program, where they, so to speak, rehabilitate them, take them through series of trainings, skill acquisition, then reintroduce them back into the society, saying that they have now become de-radicalized. We have had different insinuations from people saying that this method does more harm than good. What's your take on that, Adeyemi, when you have people being de-radicalized and, quote, saying they are now repentant and then infused back into the society? Case in point, Boko Haram.
Thank you very much, Adebola. Let's ask this question. Those that have been de-radicalized and introduced back to the society, can we be able to point to one or two of them and see what they are doing at the moment? Are they not back with their sects, terrorizing the people? And those that are already being enlisted into the Nigerian army, do we not find out that the killings that happen sometimes in the east, is it Enugu or one of these states, is one of the repentant Boko Haram member that was enlisted to the Nigerian army? You see, until when you say you radicalize them, what exactly have you been able to do? Have you taken that their ideology, the philosophy that says when you kill human being, you are going to get 6 virgin or 7 virgin in heaven? Have you taken it away from their mind? Have you been able to make them to see that there is nothing of that nature? And do you, when you say that to them, what about the preaching of the so-called leaders, of the religious leaders that are still preaching in that same respect? And these are the people that they listen to. Have you been able to stop these people from preaching such messages to the people that when you kill for God, 7 virgins await you in heaven? The numbers of people that you kill, infidels that you kill, we give you the numbers of virgins multiplied over there in heaven. When even here on earth, You are not able to have 7 virgins. Now you want to go and have free for all in heaven. You see, that's why we said time is evolving. We as a people, we have to be evolving with the time and the society. It is not the way we were living in the Stone Age. Even sometimes, let me say, in the 60s, most of the houses that you have in Nigeria are mud houses. But now, those mud houses has given way.
All right.
So we should understand that times are evolving and we too must evolve with the time as a
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adeyemi Adjolu. We have a limited time as we wrap up. And just to take this one here, so many messages actually. Unfortunately, we can't take the messages as we're behind time. But then I want to say thank you so much to you, Adeyemi Adjolu, for joining us on the program today. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having to discuss the various issues that we did discuss together.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody, Adebola, and all our family around the world.
All right, and thank you so much as well, listeners, for getting to be a part of the program this morning as we got to discuss the national dailies. Well, we'll be back tomorrow to discuss even better. But in the meantime, please ensure that we keep remembering our Chibok girls. We have the video on our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube. Please do well to watch this video, share it across. We must keep the message around the fact that the government has to bring back the remaining Chibok girls that were abducted on April 14, 2015. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Adebola.
My pleasure, Miracle.
Coming up at 9 will be the news at 9, and at 9:05, Panorama. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how corruption affects you and your community? Send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537.